Hi, it's Beth here from the Speech and Language Garden. I'm going to do a little video series, a few different videos this week to talk about school transitions. July is super exciting in England where I live because it's the time when all of the schools are doing their end of term stuff, but it's when you're also getting to know your new children for next term, and you're having a look about what they might need, what you might need to help them. So I've got some top tips and ideas to help you just in case you're feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, a mixture of nervited, and whether you've got any questions or queries for you. So hopefully these top tips should help you to help the children that you work with. Okay, so my top tip number one is use visuals, use pictures where you can. Now I know your classroom won't be as you will like it to be in September, none of the board displays have been taken down and ready with empty paper for their new work, but some things will still be the same for your classroom. The board will still be in the same place, the teacher's desk will still be in the same place, the door will be the same colour, for example. And for many of your SEND children who will be in your new classes in September, they might be quite nervous, particularly thinking about the last week of the summer holidays when they're starting to get their uniforms ready and get their PE kits all packed in their bags and ready for going back to school. This will be a time when they might be quite anxious about what's going to happen next, and having those pictures, if you're able to share them on your school website or if you're able to email them over to parents in advance, having those pictures of the classroom, what the classroom's going to look like, what the children's trays are going to look like, where the chairs are, what colour the chairs are, those sort of things will really help to ease those anxieties and support those children who've got difficulty with understanding and thinking about what might happen next. It would really help those children. Also, don't forget to share a picture of you, and if you've got any support staff in your classroom as well, share pictures of you guys as well so that the children will know who to look for, who to expect. There you go. So there's top tip number one, and make sure you get those pictures ready. Top tip number two for supporting transition for your new class and new cohort next term is to share some information about you. Now you'll be getting quite a bit of information from the children's previous teacher, or from a preschool if you're receiving children into your reception class, or from parents if you're receiving children into your preschool setting. It's just share some information about you. What things about you can the children learn, and what can they know about you? So this will really help to build up relationships and rapport, especially if you've got things in common with each other. So tell them what your favourite colour is. Do you have any pets? What does your favourite mug look like? What's your favourite flavour of ice cream? What are the 3 top things that you like to put on pancakes? Who's better, Spider-Man or Batman? In my opinion, it's Spider-Man, by the way, and this actually really helps me to build up some really quick rapport with some of my preschool age children when I see them in my clinic room. And don't forget actually to ask these questions about the children as well. You can even make this part of one of your display boards if you're doing an All About Me board. So sharing those things that you like and that you don't like can really help to build up some similarities and also differences that the children can remember, and to build up that relationship and that rapport with you, and as well as each other as well. So that's my top tip number 2, share something about you. Top tip number 3 for supporting transition time in schools is read their paperwork. There will be 2 to 3 children in every class of 30 who have some kind of speech and language communication need, and there will be children coming into your class and into your new classroom with folders of paperwork. You're going to need to organise some time in your diary to read this paperwork. This will really do you a massive favour when it comes to planning your lessons and planning your differentiation, working out seating plans and small group working, things like that. Who's going to sit best on a table with other children? Making sure that if there's any information in the reports for strategies that have been recommended, or any resources that you might need to prepare, anything that your support assistants in your classroom might need to do for some of their one-to-ones, this will all be there in that paperwork, and it would really do you a really good thing to make sure that you read this paperwork in advance of seeing these children. Now I know that you might want to give the children just a couple of weeks to settle into your class and for you to get to know them a little bit, but it's really, really important. I must say actually there's been some teachers, and this is you Mrs Smith and Miss Clark, who I've put on the naughty list because they haven't read my reports that I've written in the summer term, knowing that these children are going to be transitioning into a new class and a new year group in the autumn term, and these reports have contained information that would have really helped these children in the first few weeks, especially to settle in. So where possible, dig out some time to read those bits of paperwork, and also talk to the SENCo if you've got a SENCo in your setting, just to make sure that you're prepared and confident to receive these children into your class next term. Top tip number 4 for supporting transitions in school is to make sure that you're checking in with parents and carers. This one's a little bit more personal for me because one of my children does have special education needs, just an extra education need. She doesn't meet the criteria for being on the SEN register, but she does require some additional support in the classroom from her teacher. So it's kind of she fits into a grey area which causes me as a parent a huge amounts of anxiety. And each academic year I want to know who her teacher is in advance so that I can make sure that they know about my child and know about her conditions and how they present differently in girls to in boys, and if they have any questions that I'm able to answer them for this teacher. So one thing that's really important for me as an educator of teachers, as a provider of trainers, is to make sure that my daughter's teachers have access to training and information about her conditions. So it's really important for me as a parent and for you as teaching staff to try and arrange some time to contact parents and just to introduce yourself more than anything, so that can ease some worries and anxieties initially. But then also to talk about any current management strategies that are working well, any triggers that might be an issue for the child in question, and any of their particular needs. For example, my daughter has some sensory needs and needs to just wear a certain pair of trousers for her PE kit, which is slightly different to the school uniform, but it's no big deal, so it doesn't need to be a big deal. So yeah, just little things like that, little tweaks that as parents are aware of, and we've been living with our children for so long, that might be completely new to you as a member of staff. And in order to just kind of reduce any things that might end up being big deals that don't really need to be, for example, the trousers that my daughter wears for her PE, so those worries can be eased as well. It's also really good for you as a member of staff to try and work out what strategies this child is currently using and what's working well, and also what might have worked in the past and hasn't worked so well. So it's always good to get that information, that two-way communication. On top of that, you're just promoting some really, really good positive relationships with these parents, and that positive relationship between parents and school, which is always a win-win for everybody. So that's my top tip. Number 4 is to check in with parents and carers. All right, top tip number 5, my 5th and final top tip for supporting transition time in schools and supporting children coming into your new cohort, your new academic year, is for you. You know, if you're worried now, you feel a little bit overwhelmed, there's so much information coming with all of these children, especially after such a crazy couple of years post-pandemic, or we're still kind of halfway through it, you might just feel a little bit unsure about one or some of the children in your class and how you're going to meet their particular needs. Or you might have done some training, but you're not too sure how the theory and information from that training relates to the child in question, the child in front of you in your class. I don't want you to feel alone, okay, because you're not alone. We're a massive, massive profession of us people who work in education. Obviously there's teachers and people who work in education, and then there's us support staff as well that come in, and we've got loads of information and advice to give you. So I definitely recommend talking to your colleagues first. Double check in with the teacher or the teaching staff who have hosted these children in their classroom previously. You've got the SENCo in your school, or the ALNCO or the INCO in your school, who's got lots of information and just support, and perhaps just a warm smile if you need it. And then, yeah, you've got me if you need it. I've been a speech therapist for a very long time. I've got loads of information I love to give out to people. So you can always send me an email, speechandlanguagegarden@gmail.com, or you can contact me via one of the social media channels if you can find me, the Speech and Language Garden. Also, have a look at my website. There's loads of information on there for you. There's some free stuff on there, the speechandlanguagegarden.com. There's some freebies on there. There's loads of info and tips in some of the blog articles I've been writing. And then also there's my courses. So if you've got a child who has a stammer, well then go and have a look at the course that I've got that's just for stammering. It's full of strategies and advice and information on how to work with children of all different ages who have stammer. The same for speech sounds. If you've got a child who's got some speech sound difficulties, I've got a course for you. If you've got children who've got difficulties with memory and retention and their processing difficulties, guess what? There's a course on there for you. There's a bunch of courses. If you just want to have some information on speech language communication needs in general, there's another course there for you. So go and have a look at the courses page on my website, thespeechandlanguagegarden.com/online courses, I think it is, and help yourself to whatever you need to help you to get prepared and confident and excited and looking forward to next academic year. And if you do have any worries or any queries or any troubles, do just send me a message. I'm more than happy to help.